Good morning, world. This is the Space Cowboy coming from the Interplanetary Good Vibe Zone. And today we're back with another video. We're going to slow things down a little bit. We're going to get back into some more game discussion based stuff for a couple of videos. I got a couple of things planned up with this kind of thing. I'm going to try not to line these up as reviews more so. I've been going back to the couple of older videos that are on the channel. I've been trying to change things around to the point where it doesn't sound like I'm giving a straight up review, because I don't think I am articulate enough to put my thoughts in a more cohesive manner to call something a review. But I'm still basically like talking about these games and, like how I feel about them, and still want you to like play these games and all that kind of stuff. So, a whole bunch of hibbity, I don't know. Hopefully you guys get what I'm going through here. But as you can see by the title of the video, we're going to be talking about Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. This is a game by RGG, aka Ryuga Gotoku Studios. This game came out, I believe it was like 2018, 2019, around that time frame. So yeah, it's been a little while since this game has come out, and it is a really fun game. And I actually think that this game is probably, arguably, the most underrated RGG game, just from the simple fact that, not a lot of people have played it due to the unfortunate fact that it is a PlayStation 4 exclusive. So if you do have a PlayStation 5, obviously, you still are able to play the game. Like, it is essentially a PlayStation exclusive game. So it's not on Xbox, and there is no Steam port at all. So it's unfortunate, because a lot of people, even a lot of newer Yakuza fans that have been getting into these games recently, still have some games that they aren't necessarily able to play, or like, certain games. I'm pretty sure most of the series catalog is available. But man, I just want to talk about this game, dude. Like, I've actually been going back and playing this game quite a bit recently. I went back a little while ago and I completed my second playthrough on the game, and then I've pretty much been doing premium adventure and just honestly doing a lot of the stuff with the Coliseum and everything. So let's just get into the game. Let's just get into the discussion. So what is Lost Paradise? Like I said, it is a RGG game. It is essentially for all intents and purposes, a Yakuza game, but with a different IP. This is Fist of the North Star. And of course, if you are familiar, if you are an anime fan, manga fan, if you are familiar at all with Fist of the North Star, it's a very important series within, like anime, manga, and all that stuff. It's one of the OGs. It's one of the most influential series out there, And even if you don't know about Fist of the North Star, I'm pretty sure you know about the series through osmosis, through like, the memes, or at least like, like Kenshiro's like, Omae Mindaru thing. So but yeah, no, I was very happy when this game got announced a while back. I remember when I saw the initial trailer for this thing, and I was really, really hyped, because I'm like, I am somebody who's been a Yakuza fan before the big blow up in the West, or rather, I should say, its second wind in the West, because we already tried to push Yakuza before in the West back then with the original games, but it still gained a cult following. And then over, obviously with all of the games that we've gotten within these past like 10-ish years, like Yakuza has been it's like a household name at this point, damn near, if I can say. And yeah, like Yakuza is one of those series out there that just makes really dope, consistent, like cool action brawler games. And it's really cool to see RGG, which I don't think they were RGG at the actually, no, they were RGG when we got the Yakuza 5, so we can pretty much say RGG. But yeah, they've been doing great with just all of their games. And like this game, again, like it's pretty much what you would expect from a Yakuza game. You know what to expect: the action, the all of the mini games, the activities, story mode, like structure of the game, the flow of the game, and like how you progress and all that stuff. It is very much through and through still a Yakuza game, but with its own caveats. It's not necessarily just a carbon copy of it. And I actually think RGG, with what they did with this IP and what they essentially worked on with this game, they did a pretty solid job taking like a separate IP and making like a whole game out of it with like a similar framework but its own identity. And it's great. Right. Like, again, you're playing with Kenshiro, and it definitely feels like you're playing with Kenshiro. I think the combat in this game is so good. This is right around the era, or right around the time where, like, this is like before the Dragon Engine switch, that, like, Yakuza 5, Ishin, the original Ishin, not the remake, but, the Ishin, Yakuza 5, like, in the Kiwami games. This is the engine that this game sort of uses. This game arguably uses this engine the best in terms of the gameplay. All of the moves and the different combos and the different sorts of attacks you can lean into, they all flow very well into each other. And it all centers around the mechanic called Meridian Shock, which is essentially anytime Kenshiro attacks, like with the Hokuto Shinken, he attacks like the enemy pressure points and all that stuff. The Meridian Shock acts as not only the grab, the air quotes grab of the game, but also sort of a stun move where you put your enemy in a state where they can't attack and they're essentially locked in place. And this is the main way you access your heat moves. And depending on what combination of attacks that you use leading into the Meridian Shock, you can get off different types of heat moves, and the heat moves are finishers in this game. So you can't just perform heat moves whenever you want in battle. If you want to perform a heat move, it has to be a finisher, which I think fits perfectly in this sense because, for one, you are playing Kenshiro, and Kenshiro is known for just going through different mobs and jobbers and just wiping the floor with them because he's like one of the strongest people ever, So it fits. And like I said, the heat moves feel fulfilling to use. They are so cool to look at. And again, like I said, it opens up the combo a bit, or it opens up the combat, I should say, because you can do a whole bunch of different types of stuff leading into different combos. You can try to like dash in between of a combo and then like do another hit into another Meridian Shock. And then there is once you get up to a certain ability, or once you get up to a certain point in the ability tree, you can actually charge up the Meridian Shock to different levels to access a couple of other heat moves on different types of enemies. And it also just gives you a little bit more damage on the Meridian Shock itself, because the Meridian Shock does do damage. If you charge it up to level 2, does more damage. Level 3, level 4, which level 4 is the maximum, but so on and so forth. You do more damage and you'll get access to your next heat move. And this game also has a extreme heat mode for Kenshiro, and of course that gives him access to more, abilities, more attacks, and just, like I said, it makes things flow better. Like, it's really, really, really good. And another thing that adds on a lot to this combat are the talisman sets. So in this game, because of course you don't actually use weapons, because again, especially the North Star here, these characters really don't need to use weapons outside of the actual couple few characters in this series that actually do use a weapon. But I mean, most of these guys are like superpowered martial artists. I think you get the point. These talismans give you a bunch of different passive abilities and even like unique moves that you wouldn't be able to access otherwise. Another great way to expand the combat in the game and really make you feel like, oh yeah, you're really playing with Kenshiro. Like you're getting to experience Kenshiro as he would be within the world of Fist of the North Star. But of course, with all the good stuff I've said, there are some caveats, there are some negatives to it. Unfortunately, this game is one of the most grindiest games out of the RPG games. I wouldn't say it's the worst. I do feel like there might be some contenders for like worst leveling system, but in this game in particular, it takes the upgrade wheels, from Ishin, Kiwami, and Kiwami. So you're going to be spending a lot of your time leveling up and getting these orbs to progress through the ability trees and all that stuff. Now, luckily, you only just level up. You don't have to do any extraneous other things. You just level up, you gain your experience, you'll gain certain orbs to, select the, whatever ability you want to get and so on and so forth, and you just progress that way. There are 4 different types of orbs. Actually, excuse me, sorry about that. 5 different types of orbs. So, the 4 standard orbs, the white ones are the general ones, and then you have the different color orbs, like the orange orbs, the green orbs, and the blue orbs that go to the other different corresponding trees. And then you have a 5th orb that you can only get through story progression and completing each chapter. And you only get one of these each chapter. You don't get enough of those mandatory orbs throughout your first playthrough. So if you want to unlock the other parts of the skill trees that you are missing, you are going to have to do a secondary playthrough if you want to get those last couple of mandatory orbs to finish it off. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's one of those things like To give you a better example, if any of you who are familiar with Mega Man Battle Network, if you are, I would assume you are, especially if you're watching my channel, it's very similar to Battle Network 4, where you have to do second playthroughs or second and third playthroughs in order to progress and get the other double souls that you didn't get, and like also like the version 2 and 3 chips and all that kind of stuff. Very similar to that, although not as egregious, because you're literally just playing the game a second time, and then you get like what? It's like the last. I think it's like 3 or 4 of those mandatory orbs that you need, and then you're basically done after that. So worst case scenario, you have to play the story twice. And like I said, it is a little annoying, but like I said, I think there's worse examples of that sort of thing. Nevertheless, though, the grinding part of it all is really where it gets pretty monotonous. That talisman set that I mentioned earlier, it takes a while to level up those talisman sets because you're leveling up the enhanced effect of it, reducing the cooldown time because these talismans do have cooldown times, which I can understand it just because you don't want to just necessarily spam these things, be able to spam like all of these anytime you go into a battle, especially with certain ones where like they are very, very, very strong. So some of these you could definitely cheese the hell out of this game if they didn't take that measure into it. So it requires materials that you have to go out and farm. Getting these materials, you can go about different ways. There's a buggy that you can drive around into the wasteland. It's cool that you can have that buggy to drive around the wastelands. You go collect materials. You can also participate in races. You can go to the batting cages, although I say batting cages, but you're actually taking this big ass steel beam and like swatting bandits on motorcycles, which is pretty fucking hilarious. But it's really fun. And you also just go around and access different parts of the map. But you also have to level up your buggy, and leveling up your buggy is a pain in the ass, especially because the driving in this game does not feel good at all. Even with me right now, with my leveled up buggy, it's not exactly what you'll see here in the footage. Some of this is actually pretty old. It still feels a little shoddy trying to drive around. It's a lot of stuff that kind of culminates in with like, oh, I have to collect more materials. Well, how do I collect more materials? Well, I have to go out into the wasteland, drive out for like a good like 2-hour grinding session to like go get these materials, or I can go participate in other activities, like the other mini games or whatnot, and like gain certain points and farm for materials there or money. There is a barter system in this game as well, where you like essentially trade in a couple amount of items. Depending on the quality of item that you are bartering for, you'll have a chance to get other high rarity items. But yeah, you kind of start to see where the issue comes in. Like there's just a lot to really have to go out of your way for if you really want to do it. If you are a person that just wants to play the game casually and all that stuff, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to do all of this stuff. I'm just simply explaining to y'all because I am sure that there are people that would look at a game like this and go, okay, well, I would like to, sink my teeth a little bit more into this kind of thing. So I want to give you guys a good idea of just, the things you kind of have to deal with in this game. And it's just, again, it's just really, really super grindy, super grindy. Even for me right now, where it's like, I maxed out Kenshiro at level 99, and I'm still not done grinding. I'm still not finished. I'm basically at this point, I'm leveling up the talismans and I'm leveling up my buggy, and I'm still completing like some of the other side activities and all that stuff. So yeah, like I said, even for someone like me who's somewhat of a Yakuza completionist, I'm still having a little bit of issues. Still trying to like do all this stuff, So, but again, it's fun. Like it's fun for me. It's the reason why I came back to it is because for me, like I said, it's different for everybody else, but for me, I really, really enjoy it. The North Star is one of my favorite things too. So like I have some skin in the game already. Like I have a little bit of bias coming into the game. I got Fist of the North Star and I got Yakuza both in one game. Like Yakuza RPG stuff wrapped into one game. So it's going to be a little bit easier for me, but that may not be the case for other people. But I still want people to play this game. Like if you have a PlayStation and you are able to play this game, definitely play it. Like at this point, I actually think it costs $20 just for the regular price. On like if you go on the online store or something like that, you just buy this for $20 and you're good. Like you're getting a really solid game. The story mode in this game, I believe it is game exclusive. This has no tie-ins whatsoever to the actual story of Fist of the North Star. So if you do want to play the game and you don't know anything about Fist of the North Star, don't worry about it. You don't need to have any sort of prior knowledge outside of like a couple of core things the game does establish. And you will see some of the important core characters throughout the series, of course. Like you'll see Toki, you'll see Rao, Bat and Rin. I actually think that what's her face shows up once. I can't remember her name. It escapes me. Not Rikia. I don't know. But you get what I'm saying. Like, some core characters, the favorites, of course, that you would normally see in the Hokuto no Ken series, obviously all show up in this game. And the story's okay for what it is. Like, it's not anything crazy, but I think it's, like I said, it's a solid way of at least getting you introduced to the core people of Fist of the North Star and like getting a decent idea of how these characters are within their own series. And also, funnily enough, this is the first RGG game outside of Yakuza 1, like PS2 Yakuza 1, that got a proper English dub. And I actually think the English dub in this game is not bad. I actually think they did a pretty solid job. Like, yeah, it does sound a little weird in some places, but I actually like it. I play the majority of the time with the English voices. Of course, if you play Japanese, you could very much well do that. The Japanese voices are pretty much like the Yakuza voices. Like, the main voice actor of Kiryu voices Kenshiro in the game. I believe Majima's voice actor voices Jagi, and I would have to go back and really look into it. But like, yeah, you'll definitely hear a lot of familiar voices in this game if you are playing with the Japanese voices, which it's not a horrible thing. It's not a bad thing. I forget my guy's name, but the voice actor for Kiryu really sells his Kenshiro in this game. He does a really great job with it. I personally do think we could have got a different voice actor in this situation, especially because there is a Kiryu skin that you can get with this game, so you could basically just play with Kiryu in a Fist of the North Star setting, which takes me out of it a little bit because it's like, again, I love Kiryu, is one of my favorite protagonists in video games ever, but at the same time, I think like I said, it takes me out of it just a little bit because it's like, it's one thing for me to hear Kiryu in a Fist of the North Star game. It's another thing that we're already like, okay, now I can just put a Kiryu skin right on top of Kenshiro, and I'm literally just at that point playing with Kiryu, doing a whole bunch of different stuff. So it would have been nice if we actually got the chance to have a different Japanese voice cast. Or if you were going to use some of the Yakuza guys, maybe not everybody. But I mean, like I said, listen, it's not a deal breaker or anything like that. It's still perfectly fine the way it is. All that stuff. You can also, and there's again a good amount of stuff to do in the game. The mini games are fun. I think my favorite mini game out of everything outside of the Coliseum are it's the bartending mini game. The bartending mini game is essentially your way of increasing your friendship levels with all the different shop owners so that you'll gain access to more stuff. So you're definitely going to want to do that. But even after you've completed that, like, I'll still go back to the bar to do the bartending mini game from time to time because I really do enjoy it. It's really fun. The batting cages thing, like I said, that is really fun. I've never been great at the batting, like baseball, mini game kind of stuff in any sort of game. So I'll always struggle with that a bit, but it's still fun just to see Kenshiro. Like I say, he literally picks up a big ass like steel beam, and instead of you swatting baseballs, you're just hitting the bandits on a fucking motorcycle. Like, it's hilarious. The races are okay. If you are into that sort of thing, just be aware. Like I said, the driving in this game is not airtight whatsoever. Which is funny because there's a racing mini game in Yakuza 5, and I gotta go back to like really compare the two. Driving around in the buggy can be a bit rough, even with the upgrades. But if you are somebody who can get around with like the slight learning curve and you can manage with it and all that stuff, it won't be an issue for you at all. I think I've said pretty much everything I probably would have wanted to say. Like I said, I think this game is pretty underrated. The game didn't sell all that well. Unfortunately, it's really hard to find sales numbers for how this game performed, but you don't really hear a lot of people talking about this game, even within like the Yakuza community. For me, it shows me that RGG could take like other IPs with a Yakuza style and still do pretty damn good with it. Like, and I've been sitting here for a good time just waiting for more new stuff. Like, yeah, we've had Judgment. And I do think Judgment is fun. I'm just not a fan of the Dragon Engine. Like, personally for me, the Dragon Engine is probably the weakest for me in terms of like the Yakuza combat. Some people might feel a bit differently, but I prefer something like this where like the heat moves take more precedence when you feel more like a badass. You get to do these big crazy attacks, and we do have that Project Century thing, man, that's coming up. We don't. I mean, they're working on it. Obviously, we don't have we only got that reveal at the Game Awards. But I'm so happy to see RGG not just, spam Yakuza, and like main Yakuza in my face. Because again, I love it, but I do think I need a bit of a breather, especially with how I personally feel with like certain like plot points within the main Yakuza verse now and just how things kind of are. I think I do need a bit of a breather. We are getting the Pirate Majima game though, but that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Like, barring how I still may feel, I'm still going to get that game. I'm still going to enjoy my time with it. This is the first Majima game we've had in a while too, funnily enough, that we're about to get. This is the Pirate Majima game is about to be the first one we've had to play with Majima since Yakuza 0. So you think RGG would have been all over making, more Majima games, but hey, it is what it is. And like I said, Project Century, I can't wait to see more of that game. And again, like I want to see RGG also tackle different IPs again. I would love to see RGG make. I mean, look, listen. I'm still waiting for RGG to do a JoJo game. You guys did Fist of the North Star. That's like that crossed it off my list. Literally the next biggest thing you can do after that is a JoJo game. I think they would fucking hell a JoJo game, dude. I can only imagine how it would look now with like all of the different like there's so many. Okay, let me not say it like that, but there is like a good amount of different ways they could tackle like a JoJo game. Like I'm already trying to imagine like a part 1, part 2 situation with like all of the different heat moves just being like all of like the different Hamon techniques. There's just, oh my god, dude. I was also thinking about this too the other day. Like they could even do something like a Rurouni Kenshin, because we literally have a samurai game. Ishin and Kenzan do exist, so I think a samurai like a Rurouni Kenshin RGG game with all of Kenshin's different techniques, and he's just fighting like all the fodder like bandits and a samurai out there, dude. Oh my god. Hold on. Maybe I might save that for another video. Like, I don't know. We might talk about like hypothetical RGG games we could see. Definitely go and buy that Fist of the North Star game if you guys get the chance to. If it is available for you. Hopefully we do get like a PC port. If not, I guess it'll just be relegated to PlayStation, unfortunately. But let me know how y'all feel. Does this game look cool to you? If you are a PlayStation owner, if you have played it, how do you feel about it? If you are a PlayStation owner and you don't want to, and you don't play the game, or if you haven't played the game, like I said, definitely go check it out. And like I said, hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you are subscribing. If you are not subscribed, the big goal is getting 500 subscribers right now. So please, we are halfway to 300. The closer we get to 300 is the closer we get to 400. And the closer we get to 400 is the closer we get to 500. So please, just sub to the channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you never miss any updates for uploads or streams. And make sure you are interacting with me on the community page for more stuff going on. And with that being said, oh yeah, one more thing. As of the time of this recording of this video, I will also have a collab with a buddy of mine, and we're talking about more Yakuza stuff. So if you want to hear me talk more Yakuza, I'll have the link in the description below for that video. Now, with that being said, this is the Space Cowboy, and I hope you guys have a good day.